It's an almost new year with new adventures and new memories waiting to be made. So what better time is there to look back on the past? In fact, I'm gonna look back about 13 years to when I first started getting into anime for real. I mean, sure, I'd read Dragon Ball and Ranma and One Piece, and I watched Silverfang and Pokemon for a while, and I actually read Akira at my local library, which I understood nothing of because I was way below the target age range. But it wasn't until I turned 16 that I started really digging and met friends that were into it as well. And one of the first anime that one of those friends shared with me was Slayers. Slayers is a high fantasy franchise that started its life as a series of light novels, that is essentially books written for teenagers in Japan, written by Hajime Kansaka with illustrations by Rui Araizumi in 1989. And it got so popular that during the 90s and even into the 2000s, it has been adapted into a crapload of anime, manga, video games and other media. It largely focuses on the adventures of the powerful but bratty, petty and temperamental sorceress Lina Inverse, as well as her comrades Gauri the brainless swordsman, Selgadis the moody chimera, and Amelia the justice-loving white mage. None of whom will appear in this video, so I don't know why the hell I even brought them up. Basically, Slayers is a franchise that can go from silly to serious whenever it wants, and both embraces and parodies every fantasy trope imaginable, but even just saying that is barely scratching the surface. Really, to best describe what it's like to watch Slayers, imagine Son Goku as one of the nice high school jocks who gets dragged into playing D&D with his nerdy friends, and then he gets so into it that he starts min-maxing a spellcasting character because that's how he gets to blow the most shit up. And then he decides to play as a girl just because he thinks it'll be funnier that way. That's basically it. Oh, and by the way, did I mention that the anime theme songs by Lina's voice actress Megumi Hayashibara are freaking amazing? Experience with Slayers is somewhat restricted to the original 3 seasons from the 90s, but there's actually also some OVAs, 2 more seasons made in the early 2010s, and a bunch of movies that I never watched. So that's what we're doing today, people. We're watching the first 2 of the 5 Slayers movies, which conveniently take place before the main series, so I don't have to explain any continuity stuff. Lucky me! The first film, Slayers the Motion Picture, also known as Slayers Perfect, was written and directed by Kazuo Yamasaki and Horishi Watanabe, based on a story by Kansaka himself. It also came out in 1995, making it technically the first animated piece of Slayers media, as the TV series debuted that same year. It begins very simply with Lina being accosted by bandits and dealing with them in her usual way, only for them to return for revenge with some hired muscle. Yes! This is Naga, or as she likes to be called, Naga the White Serpent, a movie-exclusive character who fancies herself Lina's rival. So, any artist watching this, you know how the first thing you learn about drawing women is boobs are not perfect circles? Yeah, Naga didn't get that memo. I mean, Jesus, look at her! And on top of that, she wears less clothes than a mix between the average striptease dancer and the frickin' Venus de Milo. No, not her! I mean, I don't consider myself a prude by any stretch of the imagination, and I would normally never say this to anybody, but cover yourself up, woman! Anyway, Naga is all ready to fight Lina for attacking defenseless men, at least until she points out that they actually attacked her first. Which leads to Naga going turncoat, as well as this exchange.
悪人との契約は守る必要がないっていう法律があるのを知らないのね。
I'd say, if there was, the job market would look very different. Once they beat up the bandits, Naga finds a pair of tickets among the loot that grants the 2 of them access to a luxury cruise ship headed to the fabled island of Mipros. While Lina tries to sleep in their shitty room, Naga informs the audience that the island only appears once a year when so-called fairy souls bring it out of the dense fog that normally keeps it hidden, and that it can give those that visit it a glimpse of the future since past and present intersect there. But the important part about the place is the hot springs she wants to visit. Of course. While Naga tells us all this, Lina has a strange dream about a blue-haired human boy and a young elven girl who seem to be meeting in secret. And every time she dreams about these 2 over the course of the movie, she gets badgered by the voice of an old man who claims to be showing her the dreams for a very important reason, setting up quite a bit of mystery. But who needs plot when we can have tourist trips? Yeah, the next 15 or so minutes of the film is basically just Lina and Naga going around getting into fights with random weird-ass characters and completely kicking their asses.
Oshioki.
Whoa, Naga, easy. I consider myself pretty sex positive, but nobody here needs to know how you spend your nights. By the way, what's your schedule? Well, that and a lot of shots of Naga doing this. Mom! The Chinese cartoon is shrinking my undies! Unbeknownst to them, however, there's a creepy frog thing that watches all of these events from the sidelines. They do eventually make it to those famous hot springs, but Naga quickly deduces that they're actually fake, filled with imported water and treated with various perfumes. So of course she confronts the owner, Juliano, about it.
はじめまして、当ホテルの支配人、ジュリアーノ・ユビビエでございます。
面白い人ね。
Yeah, that's one way to describe the banana hammock wearing star-nippled magician, I suppose.
あんた一体何者なの？
ただの温泉好きのマスターでございます。好きな温泉使って観光客からぼったくり、その金でもってシンジケートの輪を広げ、やがては大陸に進出して世界制覇を狙うただの温泉好きのマスターでございますよ。
Okay, excuse the old-ass meme, but...
Boy, that escalated quickly.
One actually kinda badass magic duel later, Naga and Lina arrest Juliano and drag him off to see the king, but get stopped on the way by one of his goons from earlier. A hypnotist with the gimmick of making people think they're back in an idealized version of their homeland. Because that is why I go on vacation. To watch a guy trick me into thinking I'm back home.
見えるふるさとのブドウが見えるよっしゃ
さてそろそろブドウの収穫祭今年のボンジョレ・ヌーボーやいかにワインはこうして作るのよと汚れを知らぬ乙女の足で
Now, you might say the sight of Lina in a Swiss-style dress stomping grapes with a bunch of hairy dudes is a bit weird, but the music is pretty killer. Naga does beat this guy too by summoning a massive stone dragon. Or, well, a stone dragon with a massive head that its tiny body can't support, resulting in it crashing into the town below. Oops. When they finally make it to the king and queen's castle, it turns out that Lina's reputation has, as usual, preceded her.
ああ、なるほど。噂の通り。小柄じゃな。それに胸も小ぶりじゃ。
I feel like I just watched the last 3 years worth of social media crammed into 3 seconds. Once we're past the hilarious sexual harassment part, the king and queen insist that Lina and Naga spend the night. And sure enough, Lina has more of her weird dreams, finally meeting the man behind the voice, the great sage Rowdy, who has an important message for her.
森を抜けエルンゴーシュの遺跡へ向かうのだ
Sorry, say that again?
エルンゴーシュ
The ruins of what?
Gosh.
Rowdy still doesn't actually explain much over the next few dreams, but he does promise Lina a reward. The location of the Fountain of Growth. And Lina, who suffers a lot of jokes about being less developed over the course of the series, is totally into it. The king and queen inform Lina that they have also had dreams of Rowdy, and they too ask her to go to the ruins to take out the demonic beings living there. Which she only agrees to once she's promised another reward, of course. When Naga and Lina arrive, it doesn't take too long for them to find a hidden room in the dungeon, but they're quickly attacked by the weird frog thing that has been showing up all over the movie. Turns out, he's actually a powerful demon named Joyrock, who is the one that has kept the island hidden from the mainland and fed off of the greed of those living there by turning it into this coveted tourist trap, apparently. When their spells don't work on Joyrock, Lina and Naga hightail it far away to a farmer's home in order to plan and recuperate. Oh my god! Holy... No. I've already watched Barefoot Get once, and that was more than enough, thank you. So yeah, Joyrock apparently did this just to be a dick and demonstrate to Lina how much power he has over the island's inhabitants. Pretty effective way to establish a bad guy, I gotta say. Well, Lina does what every Slayers fan has been waiting for and charges up a signature spell, the Dragon Slave, getting ready to blow Joyrock to shit with one hit. And oh my god, it is gorgeously animated. Joyrock is immune to great animation, and Rowdy has to step in to drag Lina and Naga away before they get their asses killed. Now, try to hold on to your horses, cuz this is where it gets a little bit complicated. Once they're safe, Rowdy finally starts explaining. The dreams he keeps showing Lina of him as a child meeting up with the elfin girl Mayrune in secret back when the island was within walking distance of the mainland, since the other elves did not approve of them being together. Then one day Joyrock appeared, slaughtered the elves and tore the island from the rest of the world, trapping Rowdy on it when he tried and failed to fight him, and causing it to get stuck in some kind of weird time bubble. And that is why he needs Lina's help. And yes, observant viewers, that glowing sword he's using is actually the sort of light that Gowry uses in the main series, meaning that Rowdy is indeed his ancestor. It doesn't really have any bearing on this movie, but it is a neat detail. Anyway, now with Rowdy on their side, our heroes go to face Joyrock once more. It doesn't take long for him to impale Rowdy, which somehow opens a time portal that sends Lina back to the day Joyrock first appeared on the island. There's no real explanation on how or why Rowdy dying opens a portal, it just kind of happens. You can probably imagine how things play out from here. Lina helps Rowdy fight back against Joyrock's forces, and this time, the demon is incinerated with a climactic Dragon Slave spell, correcting the timeline before the vortex sucks her back to the present. Hey, wait a minute. Where was Naga during all this?
どこ行ってたのよ、ナーガ。
うるさいわって私にわかるわけないでしょ。
じゃあこの中で引っかかってたのね。
That is hilarious. So of course Lina fixing the past turns the Isle of Mipros into a much nicer place upon returning. And also makes the king and queen forget all about the reward they promised Lina, since technically they've never actually met her before in this timeline. Oops. But that still leaves the fountain of growth that Lina eagerly tries to dive into. Only for a farmer to stop her and show her that it's a fountain of aging that they use to grow vegetables. And thus, the movie ends with a disappointed Lina getting teased about it by both Naga and Rowdy's no longer existing future self. Huh. Well, that was actually pretty good. It's a gorgeously animated movie that, once it gets to the actual plot, does feel fittingly high stakes for a feature film. And on top of that, Naga is a very funny character whose extreme confidence mixed with her equally extreme incompetence and lack of respect from folks around her makes her a great foil for Lina and her explosive temper. Unfortunately, a large chunk of the film consists of entertaining but ultimately meaningless encounters with random bad guys, and when the film does focus on its main story, well, Naga is almost entirely useless during it, which I think does hold the whole thing back somewhat. But still, as the first piece of animated Slayers material and the first movie, it has all the explosive action and imaginative fantasy elements you could ask for, so yeah, I liked it. Let's watch the next one! The next movie, Slayer's Return, released a year later, begins with Lina and Naga being approached by a heavily wounded girl named Salina, who collapses in their arms.
助けてください。ちょっとそんな基本に忠実な展開をってあんたねしっかりしてよ。
Oh, no, that's just great. Why am I even making this video? It's already making my jokes for me! Salina informs the two that her village, called Bias, has been overrun by bad people calling themselves the Sane Forces that are forcing the villagers to excavate a mysterious giant crystal, and our heroes agree to help. Once they goad her into promising them a reward, of course. Because apparently, as Lina informs us, the headmaster of Bias was once given a mysterious treasure by elves long ago, presumably that same excavated crystal. And being the greedy little munchkin she is, Lina wants it for mad cash. When they get to Bias, they're soon ambushed by a weird swordsman and his gang of lesser demons, giving the movie a perfect chance to put Salina's skills on display.
あんた剣とか使えるの？
She is not. They manage to fight them off and send them running, at which point we're introduced to Salina's dad, who sports the most awesome rockabilly haircut medieval fantasy has ever seen.
Thank you very much.
He doesn't actually know anything about the crystal or the treasure Lina talked about, though, only that the headmaster back then was warned to never dig up the treasure lest it cause great misfortune. He also has a bracelet that Naga quickly puts on as a sort of preemptive payment for their work, only to discover that it's cursed and she can't get it off. Oops. The bad guy's leader is informed of Naga and Lina's arrival, and considering them a threat, he sends out a call to some of his old comrades. Well, these movies at least give me some great thumbnail material. Turns out Salina's dad actually knows where the bad guys are hiding, and he gets a guide named Becker to take Lina and Naga there. And it turns out to just be a tiny hut. And the Sane Forces are actually kind of pathetic.
確かに我が組織座員は今はまだ規模も小さい。本部もこんなだし、メンバーも2人。明日食う飯にも困っているし、資金もないし、女房は子供を連れて逃げた。
真面目に働けよ、おっさん。
Oh, fuck you, Lena. You sound like my guidance counselor. Well, you guessed it. It's time for a big old magic fight, including things like summoning. Oh my god, what is that thing? Somebody call Kirby! But just when the battle seems to be lost, we get to see Naga's most powerful spell of all. No, but for real, Garliff and his henchmen here are kinda pushovers. At least until the colorful troop of mercenaries summoned by Garliff show up in the village. When Garliff gloats about this, Lena blasts Naga so hard with a spell that she flies all the way over there and starts fighting them off while Selena tries to help, and both Garliff, his nameless sidekick, and Lena herself haul ass back there to join the fight. And once Garliff arrives, they all instantly drop what they're doing and start beating him up because he owes them money.
それじゃ別に村の人たちと戦うことなかったんじゃない？なんで戦ってたのよ。
高笑い上げながら降ってきた女にいきなり呪文ぶっ放されて話し合いはできるわ。
And this is why we put points in sense, motive, and diplomacy, people. Now, you'd think this means that everything is more or less solved, but the swords guy, seriously, does he even have a name? Promises that once the item is excavated, the mercenaries can get paid because it's made of a very valuable material called orichalcum. So, since everybody in this universe is a money-grubbing munchkin, they all start blasting away to reveal a Mario Kart shell. But no, actually, the thing suddenly grows legs and turns into some weird turtle bug creature that immediately goes on a rampage and starts chasing Naga around because the bracelet she's wearing is apparently a homing device. Oops! And what's worse, it's immune to magic. So, our heroes are in a bit of a pickle. Okay, so let me just tell you this thing's background story. Apparently, the elves made it as a weapon to fight in some great big demon war, but they forgot to not make it immune to any kind of control magic, and so when they realized they'd screwed up, they just buried it under BS and told the headmaster, hey, never dig this thing up or shit will hit the fan. And then Garliff dug it up. Is it me or are elves assholes in the Slayers universe? Surprisingly, Naga's not too fond of the idea of being obliterated, and it all becomes a long, wacky chase all over the place with Rune Blast wrecking everything it comes across. Also, I'm sorry, but Rune Blast totally sounds like a freestyle rapper who can't think of a verse.
Yo, 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 yo. Yo. Yo, yo.
They still want to beat the thing and sell it for mad cash though, so Naga gets the bright idea to use brute force. Oh, holy shit! I didn't know this was a Daimajin movie! Daimajin is a Japanese series of films about like a giant stone samurai. Go look it up! Giant robot turtle versus giant stone samurai! This is gonna be awesome! Come on, start breaking some shit!
Finish him!
Yeah.
Friendship.
どうやら戦いの中で真実の愛が芽生えたようね。
So, that's a thing. Now we have 2 giant monsters to worry about. Good job, Naga. Clearly you have more underwear than brains. Oh, and Rune Blast can also do this. So, Rune Blast is just Cell. I mean, it's Cell! It's an ultimate life form that fights people by shooting its own babies at them. It's Cell! Since they all want in on the cash, all of Garliff's old henchmen, as well as Selena and her dad, start beating up Rune Blast butt babies, and Lena and Naga finally come up with a plan. Lena casts a Dragon Slave at the 2 marauding monsters, but Naga quickly casts a protection spell on the golem. The result? The Dragon Slave spell pushes the golem into Rune Blast with enough force to ram the both of them into a mountain and crack it open, destroying both of them for good. Woo! What's that? Creative use of spell side effects to circumvent an immunity? Boy, I wish there was more stuff like this in my D&D sessions. However, just as everyone's ready to sow their rewards, Rune Blast utterly disintegrates.
そうよ、あいつは全身オリハルコンだって言ってたじゃない。なんで崩れて消えちゃうのよ。
オリハルコンを原料にしておると言ったので、オリハルコンそのものでできているわけではない。倒された後どうなるかなど本にも載っていなかったぞ。
So basically, everybody hates Garleth and wants to beat him up. The end. Okay, look. Slayer's Return doesn't have anywhere near the same sense of scale and importance as Slayer's the Motion Picture, but I'm actually tempted to say that it's technically the better movie. Sure, the first movie is prettier and feels more like a big important fantasy story, but it still wastes a lot of time on goofy shit that has no real importance, and Naga gets completely sidelined. Return, in comparison, doesn't look as clean and is a lot simpler, but it embraces its own silliness and feels much more stylistically focused as a result. And it even presents a pretty unique challenge for Lena in the form of a mindless, magic-immune creature, rather than a cunning, powerful demon or sorcerer as usual. At the end of the day though, I probably enjoy the first film a little bit more. But still, if you're at all into Slayers, both of these films are super fun, and I'm glad to finally have seen Naga on full display. Hilarious. No, I meant because of her funny personality. But as far as fantasy anime go, both of these movies are super fun and a worthwhile watch for any Slayers fan. Let's hope the next 3 are too. Bye for now. Whew! That was a lot of explodey fantasy anime. Thanks for watching, you guys, and I hope you enjoyed my little foray into the world of Slayers movies. If you did, please press the like button and leave a comment to let me know if you'd like to see me cover the other 3 sometime. I'll definitely want to see them eventually either way. I'd also like to say a special thanks to Warren Miller, Andreas Strauss, Keith McRae, and Silvermoon Ravenwolf, as well as everyone else who supports me on Patreon. Your support is super appreciated, you guys. Thank you. And if you're looking to support me as well, you can find my Patreon link in the description below and learn how to get access to my in-progress feed along with other little goodies with just a small monthly donation. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and click the little bell to be notified of all future videos. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Bye-bye!